You the Unabomber?
Ted!
In 1978, a serial bomber appeared in America. They called him the Unabomber. He sent mail packages with bombs inside. At first, the FBI thought he picked targets randomly. But soon they found out they were dealing with one of the smartest killers in American history. This man was a math professor, a Harvard graduate with an IQ of 167, higher than Einstein's. So how did a math genius become the Unabomber? And how did he avoid the FBI for 18 years? Let's find out. Our main person is Ted Kaczynski, an American with Polish roots. He's seen as one of America's most dangerous criminals, nicknamed the Unabomber. Unabomb meant University and Airline Bomber because he first targeted universities and airlines. Ted was born in 1942 in a normal family near Chicago. His parents were educated and taught him to love learning. The boy was very smart, much smarter than kids his age. His parents pushed him hard, wanting him to skip grades. Ted jumped ahead 2 grade levels. Imagine studying with kids 2 years older, yet still being the smartest in class. But this caused problems. Ted felt alone. He didn't fit in. The other students weren't his age or as smart as him. They stayed away from him. His loneliness grew every day. Luckily, he had a younger brother named David. Ted became close with his brother, who was like his only friend. The brothers grew up together until 1958. That year, Ted finished high school and went to college. He got into Harvard University, maybe America's best college, at just 16 years old. And he got a full scholarship. That's how smart he was. But Ted felt even more alone after moving away from his family. The gap between him and other students grew wider. He sometimes wrote to his mom, asking why she pushed him ahead, stopping him from having a normal social life. While he did great in school, he struggled socially. During his Harvard years, certain things happened that later created dark thoughts in Ted's mind. We'll talk about that at the end of the story. Despite these events, Ted graduated with honors. 5 years later, in 1967, he got his PhD in math from the University of Michigan. His thesis was so complex that only a few mathematicians worldwide could understand it. After that, Ted became a math professor at the University of California, Berkeley, but he only taught for 2 years before quitting. He didn't just leave his job. He left modern life completely. He had taken the teaching job mainly to save money before leaving. Ted had strange ideas. He was against technology and progress. This was the 70s, when TVs and computers were becoming common. He thought technology limited people instead of freeing them, so Ted decided to leave society. He planned to build a small cabin deep in the woods. He bought land in a Montana forest. Ted was still close with his brother David, who helped him build the cabin. From 1971 on, Ted lived in this cabin in the forest. It had no electricity, no running water, no toilet. Ted grew some food and hunted small animals. He bathed in the nearby river. He completely changed his life, living very simply. He had a bicycle and sometimes rode to the nearby town of Lincoln to visit the library. After living this way for a while, his money ran out. He had to take odd jobs to survive. Once, he returned to Chicago to work for his brother David at a factory. While working there, he liked a female co-worker. He told her his feelings and asked her out. They dated a few times. But because of Ted's strange personality, the woman felt uncomfortable. She ended the relationship. Ted took the rejection very personally and got very angry. The next day, David found small pieces of paper all over the factory, maybe 150 of them. Each paper had rude words insulting the woman. Clearly, Ted did this. The brothers had a big fight. David told Ted to remove the papers and apologize, but Ted refused. The argument got worse, and David fired his brother. Ted immediately went back to his cabin, deciding to live alone forever. He still wrote letters to his brother David for a while, but even these letters stopped. Years passed without David seeing Ted or getting letters from him. What David didn't know was that his brother was changing into something completely different. After isolating himself, Ted felt huge anger. He was mad at his parents for pushing him academically in a way that isolated him socially. He was angry at the woman who rejected him. He was angry at his brother David for abandoning him, especially after David got married. Ted was also angry about what happened to him at Harvard, which we'll discuss later, and he was furious with society for its love of technology. All this anger, plus his isolation, led him to one idea. He had to fight back against society. This is where the Unabomber was born. Ted was a science genius. He knew chemistry and kept chemistry books in his cabin. With study and practice, he learned to make bombs. At first, they weren't powerful bombs. They were weak, simple devices, but they were still bombs. Ted decided to use the mail system to send these bombs in normal packages. Let's talk about the first bombing on May 25, 1978. Ted targeted Northwestern University in Chicago. He aimed for a professor named Buckley Christ in the engineering department. But the package never reached the professor. A security guard found it in a parking lot. Curious about the strange package, the guard opened it. Immediately, it exploded in his hands, causing injuries. Luckily, the explosion was small. The bomb only partly detonated. It caused minor injuries. Police confirmed it was a bomb. It was very simple. A wooden box using black powder ignited with match heads. The investigation led nowhere. About a year later, on May 9, 1979, the second bombing happened, again at Northwestern University. This time, the bomb was left on a table inside the university. It had no specific name, just addressed to the university. Eventually, a graduate student picked it up, opened it, and it exploded in his face, causing minor injuries. The bombs were still not very effective. This design was slightly different. It used wires and batteries for ignition. The police thought it was just a prank and closed the case. Did you know that while Ted was sending these bombs, he was writing in journals? These journals were filled only with numbers. Ted created his own number code to encrypt his diaries. Only he could read them. After the second bombing, Ted tried something new. His third target was an airplane. On November 15, 1979, American Airlines Flight 444 was flying from Chicago to Washington, D.C. During the flight, passengers smelled smoke. The pilots made an emergency landing. They found a bomb had partly exploded in the cargo hold. The bomb was designed to explode at a certain height using a barometer, but it failed and only made smoke. Luckily, no one was seriously hurt. The FBI took over the case. This was serious, targeting a passenger plane. They examined the bomb. It was more advanced than before, though still simple. The bomber was improving. The FBI realized they were dealing with a serial bomber targeting universities and now airlines. This is when they named him the Unabomber. Un for university, A for airline, and bomber. They created a special team to catch him, but they had no real leads, no suspects. The Unabomber left no fingerprints, no DNA, nothing to trace. 6 months later, the Unabomber struck again. On June 10, 1980, Percy Wood, the president of United Airlines, got a package at his home near Chicago. When he opened it, a pipe bomb exploded, badly injuring his hands and face. Wood survived, but the attack shocked everyone. This was the fourth bomb. The FBI found tiny marks on some metal parts inside the bomb, the letters FC. This became an important clue, a signature. Ted later said it stood for Freedom Club. This FC signature would appear in later bombs. After the fourth bomb, more than a year passed with no incidents, but Ted returned with his fifth bomb on October 8, 1981. He went to the University of Utah and left a package with his bomb in a hallway. Fortunately, when someone tried to open it, the bomb failed to explode. The FBI secured the intact bomb. This was a big break. an unexploded device they could examine fully. The design was different again. This time it had gasoline next to a small pipe bomb. The idea was that when the pipe bomb exploded, it would ignite the gasoline, spraying fire on the victim. But the FBI found no clues, no fingerprints, nothing. Ted struck again with his sixth bomb on May 5, 1982. The bomb was sent to Vanderbilt University in Tennessee. It was addressed to a computer science professor, but the professor's secretary, Janet Smith, opened it. The bomb exploded, causing severe burns and injuries. The FBI found the FC signature inside this bomb, too. The next bombing came just 2 months later. Ted detonated his seventh bomb on July 2, 1982. His target was the University of California, Berkeley, where he had worked as a professor. He placed the bomb in the faculty lounge of the Computer Sciences Department. A professor named Diogenes Angelakos saw a strange object on the floor. He picked it up, and instantly the bomb exploded in his face. The blast caused severe injuries to his face and hands. The FBI found a note inside the bomb remains. It read, "Woo, it works. I told you it would. RV." The FBI thought this was a trick to mislead them. Ted was playing games with them. But Ted wasn't happy. He wrote in his coded journal, "It is very frustrating that I can't seem to make a lethal bomb." After the seventh bomb, Ted disappeared for 3 years. He spent this time improving his bombs, making them more powerful. He wanted to create truly deadly devices. Ted returned with his 11th bomb on December 11, 1985. The target was a computer store in Sacramento, California. This time, Ted added shrapnel to his bomb, nails and metal pieces to cause maximum injury. The store owner, Hugh Scruton, saw the wooden box on the ground. When he touched it, the bomb exploded with huge force. The shrapnel tore through him. Hugh Scruton was killed instantly. This was the first death caused by the Unabomber. The news spread fear across the country. After this first murder, Ted disappeared again for over a year. He returned with his 12th bomb on February 20, 1987. He placed the bomb near a computer store in Salt Lake City. The store owner, Gary Wright, saw what looked like wood pieces on the ground. When he kicked them, the bomb exploded. The blast threw him several feet and caused severe injuries. Miraculously, Gary survived. This incident gave the FBI their first eyewitness description of the Unabomber. A woman saw a man wearing a hooded sweatshirt and sunglasses placing the object. This led to the famous sketch, the hooded figure with sunglasses. Another long silence followed, this time for 6 years. From 1987 to 1993, there were no bombings. Some wondered if the Unabomber had died or been caught for something else. But Ted was alive, living in his Montana cabin, planning his next moves. Then, after 6 years of silence, the Unabomber returned. On June 22, 1993, Charles Epstein, a geneticist at the University of California, received a package in the mail. When he opened it, a bomb exploded, severely injuring his hands and causing hearing loss. Just 2 days later, another bomb exploded. This time, the target was David Gelernter, a computer science professor at Yale University. He too was severely injured. These bombs were more sophisticated and powerful than ever before. After these bombings, a letter arrived at the New York Times. The Unabomber claimed responsibility, calling himself the Group FC, Freedom Club. He included a secret number for future identification, 553-25394. He attacked the FBI, calling them incompetent. He explained that his main targets were scientists and people working in technology fields. He also admitted some innocent people had been hurt and expressed regret for trying to bomb an airplane. But he maintained that his other targets deserved their fate. During this time, Ted was frustrated that his last 2 attacks didn't kill. He expressed this in his coded journal. But he would return with his 15th bomb on December 10, 1994. His target was Thomas Mosser, an advertising executive in New Jersey. Ted targeted him because his agency created campaigns for Exxon, an oil company, an environmental destroyer in Ted's view. Mosser received the package at home and opened it. Boom! An incredibly violent explosion. The force was so great that it killed him instantly. Ted had finally achieved the deadly bombs he wanted. He wrote in his journal that he was pleased with the bomb's success. 5 months later, the Unabomber struck with his 16th and final bomb on April 24, 1995. The target was Gilbert Murray, president of the California Forestry Association. In Ted's view, this organization helped destroy the environment. Murray opened the package, and his office was completely destroyed. This was the most powerful explosion yet. Murray was killed instantly. Fear gripped the public. People became terrified of opening their mail. The FBI offered a $1 million reward for information leading to the Unabomber's capture. During his years in the cabin, Ted had written a manifesto, a 35,000-word document. It contained all his ideas about society and technology. On June 24, 1995, Ted mailed copies of this manifesto to the New York Times and the Washington Post. He offered a deal. If the newspapers published his manifesto, he would stop all bombings permanently. After much discussion, they decided to publish it. The Washington Post published the full document on September 19, 1995. They hoped the Unabomber would keep his promise and stop the attacks, and that someone might recognize the writing style. And that's exactly what happened. In New York, a man named David Kaczynski read the manifesto. As he read, he felt a chilling familiarity. The ideas, the phrasing, they sounded like his estranged brother, Ted. David compared the manifesto to Ted's old letters. The similarities were undeniable. Could his own brother be the Unabomber? After weeks of struggle, David contacted a lawyer who approached the FBI. David provided Ted's writings. FBI analysts compared them to the manifesto and found hundreds of parallels. Ted Kaczynski became the FBI's #1 suspect. The FBI planned the arrest carefully. On April 3, 1996, they approached Ted's cabin. A Forest Service officer who knew Ted called out to him with a fake story about property lines. When Ted came to the door, they grabbed him and arrested him. The Unabomber was finally caught. Inside Ted's cabin, they found overwhelming evidence: the typewriter used for the manifesto, bomb-making materials, his coded journals detailing the bombings, and even a ready-to-mail bomb under his bed. The case was solved. Now, let's go back to what happened at Harvard that helped turn Ted into the Unabomber. During his studies, Ted participated in a psychological experiment led by Professor Henry Murray. This experiment was actually funded by the CIA as part of their mind control research program called MKUltra. In this experiment, students wrote essays about their personal beliefs and dreams. Then they were put in a bright room, attached to electrodes, and faced aggressive interrogators who attacked and mocked their beliefs and dreams. This happened repeatedly over 3 years. Ted was just 16 when this started. The experience was deeply traumatic for him. Many believe this experiment played a key role in Ted's later actions. Ted Kaczynski was sentenced to life in prison without parole. He died in prison on June 10, 2023, at the age of 81. His story remains one of the most fascinating and disturbing criminal cases in American history. If this story chilled you to the bone and left you wanting more, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Beyond the Crime. The dark corners of human psychology and history hold many more tales waiting to be told. Here are another mysterious stories you can watch right now on Beyond the Crime. Thanks for watching.